Hey, Pythoneers, how you doing? Hope you all doing brilliantly well. Just to remind you and set the context, right? We are in the module 2 of part 2 video, Know Your Python. To begin, actually, at again, one more question to begin with. So, what is Python? The question is simple. What is Python? As usual, you go to the comment box and type your answers, and later we will look into it. And one more thing, don't forget, I would love to speak to you, so please comment it below. So now, what is Python actually? The question is very simple. What is Python? So many of you might said Python is a programming language. Yes, it's, but what it is exactly? So Python, in one side, it is a programming language. So, but what does it consist of? What does it consist of? So Python is a programming language, or it is a kind of book, like a spoken English book, spoken Kannada book, spoken Tamil book, a spoken Hindi book. It's a kind of book or document which consists of set of rules to communicate with processor. One, what are those rules? The by and large comes under these five components. One is object, the second one is expression, then third one is statement, and then module, and finally the bigger picture of these rules is program. We will look into this after a while, but as of now, this is what you have to remember. So this is just a set of rules. And a textbook definition: Python is currently the most widely used multi-purpose high-level programming language. Obviously, Python allows programming in object-oriented and procedural paradigms. That's the benefit of this Python, whereas it's not same as with Java and C. So this is what our Python is. So one side, it is just a documentation. It consists of the set of rules. So using those set of rules, you just write A is equals to 1, B is equals to 3. If A greater than B, then do this. If else, do that. So you are able to write these statements and conditions from somewhere else. You should know this. You should have some source to understand, to get it, to learn it. That source is what I'm calling as a Python as a programming language. That's as a just a documentation or document or a book. So on other side, Python is an application. So what is this? What is the difference between this and that? So here, which we actually use to communicate, this application, it is what actually used to communicate with a processor and to pass on our instructions and fetch the responses from it. So fantastic. So application is very important to basically use all your learnings from your Python book. So but where will you get it? Where will you get these two? And Python as a theoretical book and Python as an application. Where will you get it? So the answer is go to the python.org and enter into the downloads, then grab it from there. That's a Python 3.1. This is the latest version. You get it from there. So now, so once you download it and install your application, this is what typically the program looks in your start window. So Python 3.0, you can clearly see idly, is an interactive shell that we use it for the coding, and then you have Python command line, that is also interactive shell. In addition to that, what you have is a Python manuals. That's what I'm talking about. So here, if you can see that Python manuals, this is what I'm talking about. So IDLE and Python command lines, these are interpreters or shells or applications which actually communicate with your processor, whereas Python manual or Python book is where you learn the rules of that language so that you can communicate with your PC. Fantastic. So far so good. So this is how your IDLE, interactive development learning environment, looks like. This is where you type it, all your code. So the difference between normal Python command line and then IDLE is, here it gives some suggestions. It will, when you type string, when you type string and then dot tab, it will show you your methods. It will literally guide you in some aspects, whereas when it comes to the Python actual command line or our command prompt, it's, you don't get those kind of benefits. So that's the main difference. To summarize, Python is not just an application. Don't just confuse with it. So you will have one side a Python book which consists of a set of rules. On another side you have an application where you use those set of rules to communicate with your processor. The game is over. So the next thing is, we have seen our hardware architecture. You have seen what is Python. You have installed Python and you know some of the rules from the Python, but how these rules or instructions or commands are getting communicated with your processor or RAM. So that's what we will look here. So either we can use interactive shell or Python IDLE, or Visual Studio Code or PyCharm, in whatever it may be. So whatever you type, either it is an interactive shell or Visual Studio Code. For example, if you type x is equals to 10 and y is equals to 20 and z is equals to x plus y, these are the statements you have given and assignment that you have given. So now this is what we call as our source code. When you save it in your HDD, you will save it as m, for example, m.py extension. With .py extension we will use it, so that your computer can understand that this is a Python source code. So initially, if it is interactive shell, if you give x is equals to 10, this x is equals to 10 assignment will be saved in your random access memory. That's a main memory. And once you execute it, the execution is actually done by the CPU, central processing unit. That's your processor. So, but for the complete procedure, what happens is, it's a flow. Your source code will be converted into bytecode. So, and this bytecode, once you execute this source code, this would be converted into bytecode in .pyc format. So now this will be saved in PyCache. You can check it in your libs. So now once this conversion happens, then finally your code will be converted into machine code using your Python virtual machine, PVM. So that this machine code, because of this machine code, it actually can communicate, it actually can deal with your CPU, because machine code is basically in zeros and ones, and CPU, that transistor, can only understand zeros and ones, that is on or off. So that's how the journey of your instructions from your hands to processor takes place, from source code .py to .pyc, and it will be saved in PyCache. Then finally it will be converted into the machine code so that your processor can understand what you are speaking about. And this is how the flow completely takes place. So now, so thus far we have seen the most important theoretical topics, basically to set up the right context. However, it's very advisable to first finish these videos and enter into the main part of Python to take more leverage of this course. And going ahead, a lot more of exciting stuff. So we'll begin with our Python core objects in our next video. So if you master this you can master Python. So that's why don't miss it at any cost. So brace yourself for more action. Thanks for watching. Keep subscribing and liking, commenting. See you again on another video.